All right, greetings everyone, and welcome back to another Zero Hour Squared Classics. Joining us is one of our hometown boys, our heroes, man, and somebody who's doing a kick-ass job right now, currently on tour supporting their 2021 release, Hellbound. I'm talking then none other than Mr. Francis Ruiz, the drummer, and again,
Yeah.
Albuquerque-native from Buckcherry, man. Brand, how you doing,
Yeah.
man?
All right. What's up, man?
Oh, not
Good to
much. It's
talk
just
to you again.
yeah, yeah. Last time we did something, we did what we called there's a little project I was trying to work on called the Spotlight Kid. And you can
All
still
right.
see that online. We only did, I think, a couple of those episodes, and you were part of one of those. And we had a real nice conversation about how your career began as a drummer in the rock and hard rock metal world.
Right.
And, how you went to Los Angeles and started kind of living the dream and all that good stuff. But here we are now in
Right.
2022. And
22. Can you believe it?
man,
Yeah.
no, I can't. And especially what's even weirder is that it's June 2022 in just a couple of days. So almost half the year is gone. And
Yeah. I've been tripping out all year. It's like because we started touring in January, and we had whole sorts of challenges on that tour, and so by the end of that tour, I had forgotten that it was just still the first quarter of the year, and I thought, oh, holy crap, we still have like all summer and the rest of the year to go. It just felt like a long year so far. Right?
well,
But
yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's when you know you have your future kind of already arranged, like months down the road, all right, we're going to be touring this time, we're doing this, we're doing that. And the other. It does make the time that much more compressed because you know that you're just working towards each day. It's not kind of like the mundane world where it's like, I'm just living day to day. This is like
right,
everything's preset and it kind of comes at you like a kind of like an avalanche. Man. It's kind of a trip.
right,
And
yeah.
I'll say this about Buckcherry is I think as of late, you guys are one of the hardest working bands that have been out there since prior to the pandemic, during the pandemic, and now
Hmm.
as we're kind of heading out of the pandemic, I will, or the worst part of
Yeah,
it.
right,
Because you came here in 2019. That was the last time you were here for the War Paint tour, and
right.
and then the pandemic hit shortly after that and
Hmm.
stopped everything. But you guys still were active in some capacity. You did Sturgis, you kind of started getting out touring, then you did the 2021 album. Kind of tell us about all the craziness of the last couple of years, in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, I mean, 2019 was an extremely busy year. We toured all year. We even went to Europe twice, to the UK and parts of Europe, but um, and we just worked our tails off. I mean, we had just in 2019, I think we had close to like 160 shows that
Wow.
we did, and um, and then we had a full year booked already for 2020. We actually started. Uh, we toured up until I think March of 2020, until everything really hit the fan, and then I think we did some biker rallies in Florida, and then we had to go home. And the rest of the year, we were like standing by the whole time, and it just got canceled basically. But we had already done a number of shows in the first quarter of 2020 before everything shut down, and then throughout 2020, we still managed to do a handful of shows. Um, we did Sturgis. Of course, Sturgis didn't shut down. They still, and we did a couple other biker rallies in Iowa, different places that were on private property, so they kind of did their own thing. We took all the necessary precautions that to make sure that nobody went and got caught anything, and so even some of the stages that they had, the we would show up basically and stayed isolated the entire time. And even on when we walked onto the stage, they had like plexiglass barriers between like where the sound guys are, where the monitor guys are,
Mhm.
and the rest of the local crew and the stage. So we never even made direct contact with anybody, and we managed to do it all perfectly fine. We did I think about 20 shows that way,
Mhm.
and we did another one in an arena where I don't know if you heard about this, but they started making like little pods. So they made little areas to where you could fit like 6 people or 8 people or something like that.
Oh,
And then they separated them. Yeah, it's such a trip looking at it. I have some photos of this giant arena with all these little square sectioned off,
that's weird.
parts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're playing and it's totally full, but it's spread throughout the arena. So it was spread out, or it was kind of a weird thing, but I mean, we did whatever we could do to just keep working and because everybody had to, and nobody knew, obviously knew how long it was going to last.
Mhm.
If it was just right around the corner that we're just going to be able to play again. In the meantime, our mentality, we knew that we had a record that was coming out. Well, actually at that time we didn't have a record coming out. We were just finishing the Warpaint touring cycle. And so we were still just trying to work. I mean, this band loves to work and loves to play and loves to tour. And what's cool is I think that translates in the live show, because everybody that goes can, if you ask anybody, they'll tell you that this band is not going through the motions. When we're on stage, everybody's just like fully into it, which is great. And I think that contributes to why the band loves to work so much, because it feels awesome just being on stage,
Right.
But
So, yeah, there's so many questions about touring that I want to talk to you about, especially in this particular time and age that we're in. And first and foremost, you will be back here in Albuquerque on Wednesday, June 15th at the Sunshine.
15th.
Yeah.
Right.
And you will be playing with a 7-year
Witch,
7-year Witch, and a local Albuquerque band, Blind Drive. So that's going to be a
cool.
great show. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, at the Sunshine Theater, we're all looking forward to that. But let's go back to the COVID stuff, because I don't want to dwell on it too much. But it's kind of twofold. You're going to get the fans or the folks that say, well, commend you for working during that difficult time and keeping, working basically in kind of the new age world of kind of dystopic, kind of weird, like you said, pods and, all these weird protocols. And then you got the criticism of people, well, they shouldn't have been playing out there in Sturgis. They shouldn't have even had that festival, all of that other stuff. What are your guys' thoughts on kind of both schools of thought?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the age that we live in, isn't it? It's everything is, everybody has a platform now that they can voice their opinion about everything, and and so no matter what you do, it seems like there's going to be half the people that are going to be on one side and half the people that are going to be on the other side, but we part of the people are giving us high fives and thumbs up for going out there and continuing to brave through it, and the other half are condemning us for putting everybody at danger and stuff like that. So it's you can't really win. I mean, we went and did these shows, and like I said, we took all the necessary precautions. We weren't being careless, and these events were going to happen whether we're playing or not, but I mean, we went out there and like I said, we took all the necessary precautions, but we had to, as far as at least on social media is concerned, we had to kind of be in stealth mode and keep it under the radar, and because everybody did have an opinion. I think there's a lot of people that still are afraid to leave their houses, which is bizarre, but I mean, that's their own choice and it's cool. I'm not judging them for that, for their beliefs, but but we went out, we did that. We did we also did a live stream show that a lot of bands pivoted and did that too, where they did live streams and they sold basically virtual tickets that would give you access to watch the show, the entire show. And that was kind of cool. That came out really, really cool. And they gave everybody like a 48-hour access to watch the video as many times as they wanted. And it was really cool too, because it was not even just people that we might have been able to tour to, it was available to everybody around the world. Mm-hmm. So even in the parts of the world where we may never go tour, those fans of the band were still able to access this live show, and it was really cool to reach out to a lot of people all at once, you know, and we were getting all this feedback from different parts of the world, and you know, I think other parts of the world that were even on a tighter lockdown than we were, I think it was really cool for them because it gave them kind of like a window to a little bit of freedom or you know, normal life that they used to experience, and live shows and live music, and maybe feel a little less isolated, even though physically they were still isolated. But you know, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we can only do what we do and what we think is best for us, which is the same case for everybody. You know, everybody does what's best for what they believe, and so be it. And you know, like I said, we came out of the whole thing unscathed. You know, I don't know what the direct results of doing those shows were. And it's like you just never can tell. You know, you got people on different sides of the political spectrum that are going to say, "Oh, it was a what was the term that they used to super spreader,
right?
You know, event or something like that." And you know, as far as the Sturgis event, you know, a lot of people were saying that it was a super spreader event, or this Iowa thing that we did too, and they were saying it was a super spreader event, but they also didn't. You know, everybody takes things out of context too. They also didn't account for the fact that all the college students had just returned home from wherever they were, and that brought up the numbers too. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like I heard of college parties that they were actually doing having COVID parties to see who can actually catch it. You know, and right. Which was bizarre to me. I don't know if that happened or not, but that's the stuff that I heard. But like I said, at the end of the day, you know, we played and everything was cool and safe, and we still managed to knock out about 20 shows. But the best thing that happened with COVID for us, it actually worked to our advantage because at that time we weren't really sure what we were going to do next, as far as next record, or we were just going to release singles, because you know, the landscape of the music industry has obviously changed, you know, and a lot of people are just releasing singles and not full-length albums and stuff. And so we were at the point where we were unsure after Warpaint where we were going to go with that. And we even recorded a number of things that we started working on until we got this opportunity to work with Roundhill Records and go into the studio to make a whole new full-length record. And so we did that, and with Marty Fredrickson, who's worked with Aerosmith and Carrie Underwood and a number of other people. His name is, you know, speaks for himself. And wrote a whole new record, went in and did that. So that was great. And it also kind of forced us to be off the road a little bit, which was good for the band. You know, it's like you can't over tour, and you can't keep playing everybody's backyard every 6 months. Otherwise, you know, they're going to not be as anxious to come see you the next time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it, you know, in the big picture, it was a great thing for us, you know, and we really utilized the time, came out with an album that I think is a great album, and worked with a great producer, and everything, you know, worked awesome that way, you know. And then in 2021 we started touring again, and we ended up pulling off 115 shows in 2021. So we were the first band to actually be able to go through Canada and play all through Canada.
Cool.
And yeah, and
the big thing, because their restrictions were pretty hardcore. I mean, even with the NBA,
they were.
the NHL, all of that. One more quick
Yeah.
thing, just a sidebar on the whole COVID thing, just to kind of wrap that up. It was a strange time, and it was something that we had never been through for over 100 years, and things have changed so dramatic since then. Look, the NFL went on with their season, and there was people in the stands. They had a full Super Bowl. I think I don't know if all's forgiven or all's forgotten, but we've moved on. There's so many other issues and worries now that are going on. I think that in the grand scheme of things, that everything was kind of knee-jerk reaction. And I think that you guys coming out unscathed and doing what you all do, continue working, I think is commendable, because I mean you had to do something. And I think a lot of bands felt that same way. The live streaming of shows, creation of albums, and maybe some of the times the shows had to be postponed or whatever, it is what it was, but it's vibrant again. People are going out to shows. Every show I've been to the last few months have been sold out, starting in late January. As you may well have known, I went to see with a good friend of ours, Boots, to Eric, to the Billy Joel in Las Vegas, 60,000 people. And then when I come back, Testament sold out, Ministry sold out, Carcass sold out, Brujeria sold out. All these shows are just packed with people. And I'm guessing that's, what's going to be, what's next in line for you all when you get out here in Albuquerque, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. I mean, the shows have been, it's weird because right now, every band is touring. Every band that is touring. So, when we started touring, it was there were some places that were completely sold out, like Winnipeg was off the hook, and then there was other places to where it was kind of a mixed thing, where the people that went were super excited to go, but then half of your fan base was still the half that was afraid to go out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So and it stayed like that kind of all through COVID, and also the venues had limited capacities too. So everything now is now that everything is wide open. You go from being sold out to now there's 5 shows in 5 days at that venue. That are all kind of the same style of bands, because everybody's now trying to get into all the venues. So there's a lot of competition for selling tickets right now too. Right. There's also a lot of broken hearts, especially when you think of, say, Albuquerque. A lot of these shows have been sold out, and people are like, scavenging and scrounging around. Can you get us in? I mean, I really want to go to the show, and it's like, they're sold out, man. You should have bought the ticket. You don't think about it back then, especially here in Albuquerque, as they always say, it's kind of the land of mañana. People wait, and I understand that. Sometimes you have to live check to check, and you're like, all right, should I go to Testament this week, or pay the P&M bill, or so they wait a little bit, and then ultimately, everybody jumps on it, especially with the thirst for people wanting to go out there and be back in the normalcy of the live shows and the feel and the vibe. It's pretty well. The other thing with ticket sales that was hard to gauge too is that at a certain point, people had bought tickets to events that the events kept getting postponed. So, and they weren't certain agencies or promoters weren't allowing people to get refunds. They were just saying postponed. And so, I know that bummed out a lot of people and made them a lot more cautious about actually buying advance tickets to something that they weren't sure if it was going to be canceled or postponed, either because of the mandates, or because somebody in the band got COVID or something like that. So I think they were waiting till the last minute to buy tickets too, which gave a false sense of what the climate was like out there too, because normally if you put on a show, you can expect a certain amount of tickets to be sold in advance, right? And that's how the promoters and everybody can gauge how well the show is doing. But then you take that away, and it's like you put a show out for sale, and then somebody might think, oh, the show's not selling at all, so they might decide to push that show or postpone it or change it. So
it's been a dance in so many different ways of just trying to figure this whole thing out, but here we are today, and we've managed to continue going, and just happy about that. Like I said, in 2021, we did 115 shows. We were supposed to go to Europe and tour in Europe, and they had the whole in the UK, because the album went to #1 in the UK, which was freaking awesome.
Congratulations on that. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's really
yeah.
Yeah.
So it did really well out there, and Earache Records actually distributed it in the UK and other parts of the world.
Very cool.
And so, and their street team and just entire team just really, they really killed it. They did so many different things, from hiring people to spray paint the album cover in Camden, and just going out there and just promoting the heck out of it, and they really knocked it out of the park for us on that one too. So. Awesome. That was a really cool thing.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so 2021 did 115 shows, and we were supposed to do about 130, but our European tour, they told us, basically, if you go out there and you play, and there was supposed to be 4 bands on the bill. It's going to be Damon Johnson and a couple other bands. And they said, basically, if any one person from any of the bands or the crew happen to test positive, the entire thing shuts down, and everybody has to quarantine in the UK for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And we were just like, the risk outweighs the benefit with something like that too. So we had to just, put that one to the side until we can go out there and do it in the right way. Also too, the venues were at a limited capacity too. So we were like, we're taking that risk to play to venues that we can only sell halfway. It's just like, so there were times that we had to make decisions to just wait it out, but I don't think any other band did as many shows as we did in 2021.
I can't call it seeing any, because every time I would see your legs, the legs, each ones that you went on, they were extensive and they were long.
Yeah.
You just finished one now, and I want to go back to the touring stuff, but I'm guessing you're on a break. You're back home in Texas with am I correct in that? With your wife and cats?
Yes. We have which is probably our longest break this year. It's 10 days. So we just finished another leg. And we're home for 10 days, and then we start again on June 4th in California, and that'll be the next leg that's coming to Albuquerque. So
right, all right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the album, man, because I got to tell you it's probably one of my favorite Buckcherry albums.
Nice.
There's from song end to end. I think it's really cool because it's kind of the first few songs are kind of introspective, kind of mellow. But what I like is that there's not, 1 or 2 songs that are so bombastic. I think that for the most part, it doesn't have to be effective. I think that Josh, the entire unit, capture what you need. It's reminiscent of a lot of really cool stuff. Like it reminds me of some of like Rose Tattoo, or like definitely Earl Smith, a little bit of Crocus, Hanoi Rocks, all of that.
Right.
And it still retains that real West Coast hard rock sound, which I really dig. I've always dug that vibe, that sound. I used to go there all the time to LA. I know you lived out there for a very, very long time. So I really want to commend you guys on the work with that. Again, song to song, end to end, it's really, really good stuff, man. What was it?
Thank you.
Was that the first time you recorded with Buckcherry? I know you did videos for the Warpaint album, but were you a contributor as a drummer on that album, or mostly on this one?
No, that album was that album was done prior to me being in the band. So. And so, yeah, I didn't get to actually play on that work. Actually, the funny thing is, I was contacted about being in the band before the album was recorded, but logistically it couldn't work out. I was actually on tour with Slayer at that time,
Yeah.
and in Europe when the album was actually recorded. So I didn't get to be part of the recording on that one. But I was in all the videos, and basically did all the touring in support of that record. So in a way, I feel like it's I'm part of it as well.
Right.
I guess you can, it's like, and I didn't feel bad. I was thinking like Tommy Aldridge, who's one of my, drumming, idols and everything. When he joined Whitesnake, he didn't actually record the record that he started touring on, with Still of the Night and stuff like that. All that was Ainsley Dunbar.
Yeah.
But Tommy was in all the videos and stuff like that. So, as far as anybody knew, it was Tommy. And even though I know that it wasn't, it's still Tommy to me. You know what I mean? It's like it embodied his energy and style and everything. Same when he joined Ozzy.
Yeah.
He didn't record on that record. He joined right after the album was done. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. It's like I could make it my own when we play the songs live.
Right.
And I kind of did that, it's like, so,
you fit in extremely well. The band has a very nice chemistry. You can tell that by the recording because it seems like this is a fun album to make. It's rock and roll. It's not anything that, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You're just making good, solid sounding songs. The guitar players, both have some very, very nice riffs, very clean sounding. I think Josh has a lot of energy. But again, there's some songs that are kind of on a slower pace and a little bit more introspective that I really dig. And that, that kicks off right away with the Way and Wasting No More Time. Those are a couple of my favorites, and those are right off.
Oh, wow.
Those are the early songs at the beginning of the album. And then again, you got, Hellbound, and you got Gun, which is one of your singles, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another, kind of one of those power rocker songs that gets everybody all charged up, an anthem sort of type song, if you will.
Yeah.
So I like the chemistry on it, man. I think it's a really fun album. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that set this coming time. In June 15th.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And we do a lot of songs from the new record too.
Cool.
On that. So it's and we change the set every night too. Josh makes the set on the day of the show, so we never really know what we're going to play.
Oh, cool.
So we just have to be on our toes for whatever he decides to put on the set list. There's just songs that are staples and have to be in the set, because there'll be people waiting for us at the end of the show if we don't play, Crazy Bitch and Sorry and Riding and a few different, Lit Up. So those have to be in the set all the time, but Josh mixes up all the rest of the stuff, but he's we're really featuring the new record, which is cool. Cause that's back to the way the bands always did. It's like when they put out a new record, you heard a lot of the music from that record because you're actually on a touring cycle trying to promote that record. Instead of just being a nostalgia band or a legacy act or, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of material that was the 9th studio record that the band made. So there's a lot of music to be played.
Right.
So,
right. What is your favorite track to play on that album?
To play, let's see. I got it right here. They're all really fun. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1's cool because we actually start the set with that. That's what starts the record, but it's got that cool punk rock thing to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just real, high energy and it kind of sets the tone for the show that people are about to watch. It sets the tone for the record.
Right.
That's real fun. But what's cool about this album is that it's not like a one trick pony, like you're saying. It's like I think every song is very different from the next song,
Mm-hmm.
yet it's all cohesive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
It's
you got
got
one
a flow.
song that, yeah, you get one that I could, do a little more of that groovy John Bonham stuff, and then you got another song that's kind of like Tom Petty, and that's this whole different vibe. And then you got the
Wow.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is kind of more like something Sex Pistols might do, or
Yeah.
and then you got Gun, which is it's got a very Aerosmith feel to it, and then So Hot, which the drum groove on that could be. I've heard a bunch of different things. I've heard people compare it to like Thunder Kiss from Rob Zombie or White Zombie to Immigrant Song. So it's kind of got that cool thing to it too. So for me, I mean, just it was fun being able to do all the different styles on the record, and that's in general, that's what's fun about the band as a whole. It's like we get really funky sometimes too. There's not a lot of hard rock bands that you hear
Oh
that
yeah.
funk and can even break it down to some of the soul R&B type vibe, for a little, mix some Kool and the Gang in there and some Prince and that type stuff, and it still sounds rock and roll for some reason, and then some that are just bombastic, and then the classic rock feel too. So it's for me, it's very fulfilling, just to be able to scratch all the itches of everything that I want to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the record kind of is a good, does that for a lot of people too. So we've had nothing but positive responses to the album, and a lot of people comparing it to the earlier albums, etc. And so just I'm happy with the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a complete 10. It's a complete package.
Yeah.
I love it. You brought up the funky style. I'm glad you brought that up. It's one of my questions because no more lies. I thought of like mid funky Stevie Wonder is kind of what
All right.
I kind of got a vibe from that song. And then Hellbound, very much reminiscent obviously of like AC/DC. I think of Rose Tattoo. I really like that song a lot. That might be one of my all-time favorites on the album. And I'm kind of in one of those modes where I can't decide one day from the next which one is my favorite track, because I think, like I said, from top to bottom, it's a really, really good album. And but again, I like that. Again, it's rock and roll. And what has been the response from the younger generation of kids? It seems to me like when I look at some of the videos you have, there's a lot of young kids out at the crowd. You can tell there's some early 20s, and it's cool because it's like when you and I were growing up watching all of those bands, everybody from Great White, to all of those bands, Kicks, whoever it was, even some of the hardcore thrash, and that was our age. But now you're in that generation. You're fortunate enough to have all the your fans from the previous decades and such. How fun is that? And what have you seen from the younger kids out there?
Man, we have large numbers of young people there, and we're always bugging out about it. We're like, hell yeah, this is cool, because when you see somebody that's in their 20s or even teenagers, and they're up there and they're singing all the words to the songs, it's freaking awesome. And they know the music, and they're super excited. They come to the meet and greets, and they're just like fans, and it's really cool. I mean, it's not to say we don't appreciate every generation of fan that comes to the show, but it is cool that we are seeing that the music is actually getting to the younger crowd, and however that happens, because we really haven't had any radio support for this album, at least in the States. I have friends in Germany that say, "Oh, we hear it on the radio all the time," but in the States, we haven't really had any radio support at all. And but somehow they're getting it, And I know there's a portion of them that got turned on to the band because of the parents were into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're full on into it. And, I guess it doesn't really matter how they get into it as long as they do,
Yeah.
but it is cool that I mean, there's other bands that are younger bands now that are playing rock and roll, just straight up rock and roll also. And it's cool that we can bridge the gap between the younger and the newer generation and do that. That's really cool.
Well, with all of your all's background, you do encompass all the genres, everything from the hard rock to heavy metal to punk rock to all of those styles. And that's also, I think,
right.
And in the United States, just got to give the States a pass on this one, because there's no radio airplay of real rock or metal bands on mainstream radio, not anymore.
Right.
But everybody's finding it, and it's like the most popular genres to me in the whole world, because you see the people at these shows, you see the people in lines trying to buy merch, literally lines. You never saw lines at a merch table, and sometimes those lines last a couple hours to get through to buy a T-shirt, and you never used to see that. So there's a thirst, and I think that just America's the radio or whatever, their mainstream markets, they just always miss the mark when it comes to that. Yet all of these bands themselves are very successful and continue to have an ongoing legacy. And I think that that's very cool. So I don't even worry about it. I mean, they've got their Taylor Swifts and The Weeknd and all those other artists and Dua Lipa and a bunch of new artists that come and go and just cycle in and cycle out and don't have that longevity. And, it is what it is. Some of them are good artists, like real good ones. I consider Lizzo to be pretty cool, but then there's some that just come and go, and I don't even know half their names sometimes. It's kind of funny that way, But again, I want to go back now to some of the road stories, because you just recently got off a tour with Alice Cooper. How cool?
Yeah.
How cool was that?
Dude, that was the coolest thing. I mean, everybody in that camp, top to bottom, the crew, everybody, the band, of course, they were all, all the best people out there. And we just had such a good time out there. And the cool thing is, like, a lot of us were already friends with people in their crew and in their band before too. So when we got together, it was just like being on tour with your buddies, so it was really cool. And Alice himself is just freaking awesome. It's like him and his wife, Cheryl, they have such positive energy. They walk into a room, great vibe. Cheryl's the nicest person you ever want to meet. They're both very approachable. They're the people that'll come to you and start a conversation and just super cool, and of course the crowds were great. I mean, it was just a real privilege, to be able to be on tour with a legend like that. And
how old is he now?
And be treated so well. I think he's 74.
Wow. Yeah, man, he looks good. And I've never seen a bad Alice Cooper show. I've seen him a bunch of times. Last time I saw him, it was with Marilyn Manson. And they played on stage together, but Cheap Trick happened to be here in town playing at a smaller venue in the same area. And they came up and they did School's Out and a couple of other songs as an encore. And I got to see all three of them do that. It was pretty freaking amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That would be super cool. Yeah.
But you're also touring. You did a couple shows with Tesla, right?
No, we have a show. We have a few shows coming up with Tesla.
Oh, that's right.
There's actually, one on the 11th, actually June 11th, kind of in the area that they're from, Lincoln, California, but it's by Sacramento. So that's going to be great, at a casino up there, and I think that one's sold out already too, or if not, very, very close. But that's going to be great. I mean, those guys are freaking awesome. Yeah, they've never not been a great band. No,
so they're very cool dudes too. Yeah, I saw that you had a Whiskey A Go-Go date on there as well.
Yeah, cool is that? That's going to be cool. It's going back to the epicenter of everything, and it's just it's an iconic venue. So it's just to go back and play the whiskey, and Motley Crue went back and did their Kickstart My Heart video there.
Yeah.
After the fact, Van Halen's done shows there. I think, even when they were enormous, they still went back to the Whiskey and played like that too. So it's a cool thing to go back to LA and play the Whiskey.
That's my second favorite venue all time to go to. The Launchpad is my first favorite town in Albuquerque. Whiskey is cool. And I was just out there last year to see the Evil Dead. They were playing out there with Hyrax. And I hadn't been to the Whiskey in
Hyrax.
a long time. Yeah. And it felt good. It felt the same. It still had that vibe. I even, kind of laid down outside on the corner of Sunset Boulevard, whatever out cross street that the Whiskey's on, I forget. And I was kind of, I was winded, man, because it was so hot in there and it was packed. And, so I was kind of taking what I called the LA nap, and a couple of LAPD guys on bicycle came and they were like, they didn't harass me too much. They were just like, "Are you all right?" And my girlfriend says, he's just taking selfies. And so it was all cool, but that was a lot of fun. And I just think about the Whiskey and all the good times there. How many times have you played there, one incarnation or another?
Not that many times. I played there maybe like 3 times.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I've played all the, the Whiskey, Roxy, the Key Club, which used to be Gazzari's, the Viper Room,
Troubadour,
Coconut Teaser, the Troubadour, and then a bunch of other venues that were big in further south, like the Waters Club and and the Marquee and all that stuff. So, Club Lingerie. There's like endless amounts of venues, and I've played a lot of venues over time, but a lot of them that just aren't there anymore. The FM station.
Man, I remember that. I saw King Diamond be there one time.
Nice.
That's the first time I seen him stab a baby doll on stage. It was pretty classic.
Yeah.
And he played with Trouble. Of all bands, that was a weird combination. It was a great show. But
with Bubble?
What's that?
With
Trouble?
Bubble?
No, Trouble.
Oh, Trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was King Diamond, Trouble, and Hades, if you remember that band, like an old thrash band. And I think they only had a couple of albums. But so now that you're back home for just a few days before you hit the road, what is it that you do when you get home? What's kind of a ritual? Is it just sleep and kick it with your wife, and what do you do?
Well, there's always a to-do list when I get home. Mowing the grass is one. Although Nikki, Nikki takes care of everything perfectly, but it's just I come home and I got to give her a break from handling everything. But it's just regular stuff. You do your normal stuff. Going through your stacks of mail and mowing the grass and hanging out with the cats and hanging out with Nikki and just basically, if you could see the room, my bags are still basically packed from tour. So I come home, take everything out, throw it in the wash, fold it, put it basically back in the bag, and then we're off again. Leave behind some items that I realize that I don't need out there, and just kind of it. If I have longer, I'll get into painting.
Oh yeah,
and which is still another thing that I just love to do, but I really hate starting things that I can't complete. So it's kind of that feeling like you have too much time to do nothing but not enough time to do anything. So it's go to the dentist, just do all that stuff, just basically reset, just to get me ready to go out again. We had a really nice dinner with some friends last night, and just kind of normal things.
Yeah. I don't want to sound offensive with this question, and it's not offensive. It's just guys our age. All right. Yeah. So we're mature. We're not the 21-year-old crazy young buck out there going, that you would go out on tour and maybe party your ass off and do all kinds of stuff. So what is it like on a tour? Let's just say just in 1 week, if you have 3 days, what do you guys do? What's it like? Is it just Is it play, concentrate, or is there a little bit of fun and party, but not as crazy as say it would have been when you were in your early 20s? I mean, what's it like?
Um, well, I mean, I'm sure it's different for every band. With us in particular, we're all pretty chill, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because of age or just because we've all been on the road for a couple decades, each or longer in some cases. And we, being on the road that long, you just you find your lane and you kind of stay in your lane a little bit. Not that you're made to stay in a lane, but you just find the things that you like to do. Like on days off, for example, everybody knows I love to go for walks, or for a run stuff. I love to go at nighttime when the sun starts going down. Is like I start to come alive and stuff, and I'll go just with not even a destination in cities anywhere, and just go explore and just take in everything that I possibly can to get the lay of the land and then try to figure out how to get back, and stuff like that. And I like to do that. Company is cool, but I like to do that on my own too, just because I like to do things on my own time. Mm-hmm. Like if I see a rock that I want to sit down at, for 30 minutes and contemplate, something, I can do that without feeling rushed. Yeah. Or if I, or if somebody else is like, dude, I'm starving, but let's cut the walk short, and I still want to walk, it's like, you always have to compromise. So I like kind of going out on my own. We do fun stuff, but we're together all the time. And on show days, we have to stay really close because, we got to get up, we got to sound check. There's a whole bunch of other little things that each of us do that, in preparation for the day and for the show. Like Josh is very regimented. He's kind of on a time schedule. He has to eat at a certain time. He has to shower at a certain time. He has to, do his vocal warm-ups at a certain time. He does meditations and they get up early and they work out. Stevie works out early, the first thing when he wakes up. So everybody kind of has their little thing of how they prepare for the day. And then we do sound check, and then we have time to go eat, and then we come back and we do the meet and greet, and then we have just enough time to maybe get another bite to eat, chill for a little bit, and then we start getting ready for the show. And of course we do the show, and so we're pretty stacked on each other most of the time. So on days off, sometimes it's kind of nice to just have me time, catch up on phone calls, do whatever you need to do. Billy, for example, Billy Rowe, our guitar player, he owns a company called Rock and Roll Relics, mm-hmm. which is a guitar company, very, very awesome guitars. And like Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day plays his guitars, and Ryan Roxy from Alice Cooper, and a lot of people play his guitars. And Ooh. So he runs that business from the road too. So he's always up early on his computer doing things that he has to do for the business as well. And Stevie spends a lot of his time, his downtime, writing new songs. Like we're going to be doing another record at the end of this year. Mm-hmm. And so Stevie's been this whole year, he's been, locking himself in the hotel room and kind of working on music, and so, yeah, what's great about it is he has so many different backgrounds and musical influences. Mm-hmm. and it's kind of like the rest of us too. It's like we're all deep rooted in punk rock and in classic rock. Yeah. And also we all have a background in stuff like you were saying, like all the R&B stuff, like Prince and Kool and the Gang, and you know, just that whole genre of, I mean, a million other artists that we love and we take from, you know, and Stevie as the main, you know, writer, he you know, he basically could take the album in any direction that he wants, and then he'll show Josh what he's come up with, and Josh can immediately start putting lyrics to it, because Josh is the same way. You know, he's got all these different backgrounds and musical influences. We're not just like a band that only listens to this kind of music, so we only sound like this.
Yeah,
and that's what's kind of cool, you know.
No, it's evident
it's
in
hard.
the music for sure. It's evident in the album because, like I said, it's so dynamic. It can go from 0 to 60, but there's nothing that's like, it's not filler. You can tell when a band uses filler versus a band that has creative outputs that are just moving and moving and moving. You know, the wheels are always cranking, and I love that because that makes it fun for the listener. You know, sometimes you listen to one album and there's only one damn good song on it. And then there's times where most of the time you know, I like last night I was listening to Steve Miller's anthology, and every song on there was just like blazing damn good. You know, and you want to hear it again. And the other thing, I think the other component is when you see a good show like yourselves, the next day you want to get up and hear the music. And that's a good sign that you had a good time at the show and that that band resonated. I want to ask you that because coming back to Albuquerque, what's that like for you, man? I mean, is it like when an athlete plays, like he goes back to his home state and he has to, you know, get like 24 tickets for his family and he's pulled in all these different directions? And is there a little bit more pressure, or is it just kind of there? What's it like for you when you come back to town?
You know, I'm fortunate to still have great relationships and friendships with people like yourself, you know, that I've known for, it feels like my whole life, you know, and just the support that I get from you and my other friends that I grew up with is, you know, there's no words for that. It's just super cool, you know, and I'm glad that I still have that connection and that we can just pick up anywhere, and it seems like we've been hanging out the entire time. You know what I mean? And because I don't think any of us or a lot of us haven't changed much. It's just like we're still into the same things that we were into, and that's why we've remained, you know, friends. We're still, you're as passionate about music as you ever were, you know, and so am I. And we've always had that, you know. It's just like we have, you know, 40 years behind it or however long, you know what I mean, of experience. And so we're not as green, I guess you can say, when we're talking about stuff and experiences and that sort of thing too. So it's really cool to be able to talk to somebody on par about things and know that you've gone on this journey together. And I feel like that with a lot of you know, my friends that you know, in Albuquerque that you know, we've shared the journey together, you know, and it's cool. Yeah, it's when I do the shows, I feel really bad because it's you know, I wish I could clone myself so that way I could give every single person there 100% of my time,
right?
You know, and be able to hang out and talk and just catch up and do all that stuff. But it's you know, it's impossible. It's just like, you know, when a girl gets married, you know, she can't hang out with everybody that comes to her wedding, you know? Or guys. So, but it's cool. You know, it's like all my friends know that, they understand it and are all cool with it, you know? And so you know, I love it. And it's just, it's just great to feel the love, you know, coming home and playing and getting to play places where I've seen other bands, you know, when I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and you know, play on some of those places. I get that feeling a lot of places. We played a place recently in where was it? Louisiana. and it didn't look like much from the outside, and it didn't look like much on the inside either, to be honest. But we learned that Ray Charles used to play there, Elvis played there, Stevie Ray Vaughan played there, just all these iconic people, B.B. King, like they all played on that exact stage, and they hadn't changed the stage, so it was the same exact wood surface that they played on, and all of a sudden it was just like, oh, this is freaking cool.
That's badass.
Yeah. And then there's another place that that we played, which is another iconic venue where Richie Valens and the Big Bopper and they all played before the infamous plane crash and stuff too. But just seeing that depicted like in movies and it was really cool because like when you're watching that movie at that time, when those people played that place, they were in it. They were on tour. It was happening, the train was in motion and they had made it at that point, and it was at this venue and it just to play at that venue too, and just try to absorb all the, energy from the place is just a cool thing too,
really cool.
So yeah. So I do that when I come to Albuquerque, it's plus I get to eat, get to eat red and green chili.
Yeah. I was going to say
for at least
where do you like to sneak off to? Do you like to go like to Doghouse or maybe Bob's or Lotaburger or something that will catch up for a little while you're around if you get a chance?
For some reason, Lotaburger doesn't have the magic that it used to have.
Yeah.
For some reason, when I was a kid, there's a couple of restaurants that don't have that magic anymore, and I don't know why. I don't know if the food changed or I changed.
Yeah.
But I still really enjoy the food at Garcia's.
Mm-hmm.
They're very consistent until they change the menu, and I'll kind of be bummed out and I'll look for another place. But right. Garcia's or of course the Frontier or Golden Pride are kind of like the places that I kind of get my fix.
Nice. I remember ditching high school to go to the Frontier to go eat a cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
Get high, get a cinnamon roll, come back to school. It's like 2 or 3 periods of classes or what have you. But right on.
Yeah, well, the Frontiers. I mean, that's where we hung out. I mean, that was the war zone back then. It's just like that had a magic to it. Now you go in there, it's kind of different.
It's different, but it's because we're probably different too. We're not, the kids that we were back then. Going in that place was just magic during those times.
But when we went in, I mean, when we used to go there, it was I think 24 hours.
It was 24 hours.
So anytime at night, you'd walk in and you'd see guys with ginormous mohawks and skinheads, and everybody's wearing Doc Martens, and it's just the whole thing. And it's not really like that anymore. It's not really edgy. It's more collegey.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of old punk rock, I found a Vulgar Issue cassette.
Oh wow!
In my collection, I didn't even know I had it. I thought I did, but I have the one with the cover. So anybody that was into the old hardcore punk scene in Albuquerque will remember you all for sure.
That was fun times, and it's great. Eric has posted over time like some flyers that he still had of when we'd play at Club Rec. Yeah, and
Roller West,
and Roller West. And just different places, and it's really cool because I don't even think I have any of those flyers. So Eric hanging on to all that stuff was just like so cool. When we did the show with the Descendants at Roller West.
Yeah. Do you remember when before Vulgar Issue, you were was it World War III or something like that? Third War. Yeah, I don't remember what band it was, but you guys were playing at the Los Padillas Community Center, and the cops came because one of the guys, the guitar player from the band you were in, he, what do you call it? He punctured a tire in a cop car, and they all came. They all drew their guns on us, and I remember Ray Cordova being on his stomach with them all pointing guns at. That was a while. We were so stupid, man. We were like 16, 17 years old. What the hell were we thinking, man? That's
I
crazy.
don't know.
That's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember being on the fence
Yeah,
for a long time. Yeah, that was nuts.
that's
But
stupid.
that was kind of the norm. I mean, I think a lot of the parties that we played used to get busted up by the cops too. I remember
Yeah.
our guitar player Tom at one point got his head like pushed up against a. I think he, because we didn't have anything to do with the party. We were just playing, and I think Tom went when the cops came. And this is nothing against cops, by the way. I have a lot of friends that are cops,
Oh, yeah.
but at this time, this is what happened. And they Tom went and like put his amplifier in his car or something like that, and he started walking back to the backyard. But of course, they're trying to get everybody out of the yard, and they were like, "No, you got to leave. You got to take off." And Tom went to say, "No, my guitar's back there," and I think he pointed so maybe it looked like he was making a motion, aggressive motion. So they grabbed him basically and slammed him up against the wall and kind of scraped his face up against the stone or brick wall or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was like a big ordeal. But yeah, those were nutty times. But
that one show I was talking about where he slashed that cop car's tire, he still had the knife on him when the cops came out and put us all up against the fence. And then he threw it.
Remember that?
He threw the knife, and the cops heard it, and they're like, "What was that? You threw it, right? You threw it." So they really made a big deal. They couldn't find it, thankfully, or else they would have taken him, all of us in. But that was it was kind of a rite of passage, if you will. Every young man who listens to that kind of music has some kind of rebellious streak, and you live through it, you laugh at it later on like we are now, but you kind of scratch your head and think, damn, that was stupid. I shouldn't have done it at the time.
Yeah.
Well,
there's a lot of questionable things that we did back then that was like, what was I thinking? But
there was a lot of questionable things I've done in the past 10 years that I was Francis, man. Hey, man, I'm looking forward to seeing you on June 15th. That's going to be a Wednesday night here in Albuquerque at the Sunshine.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Once again with 7 Year Witch and Blind Drive. And man, thank you for taking the time. I know you want to get some rest. You don't have much time until you hit the road again, but I know you always accommodate us. Everybody here in Albuquerque is very, very proud of you. We all love you, and we love the band, and give our best to Stevie and to Josh and everybody in the group, and tell them we're looking forward to the show here in Albuquerque. And I'll be, I'll try to catch up with you if it's not too crazy, best I can when you're here. But we're really looking forward to it.
For sure.
Is there anything that you would like to tell Albuquerque or the world, basically, that's on the web?
No, just we're touring the rest of this year, so definitely go on Buckcherry.com and check out all the tour dates, because there's a lot. We're working till the end of the year, till about September, and then we have a tiny little break. But then we go to Australia, New Zealand at the end of November, December. And then after that is when we're going to record the new record. So we're also doing the Kiss Cruise.
Oh, cool.
We're doing a show with Kid Rock coming up too. That's going to be freaking awesome. And we're doing Sturgis this year, and it's just us and Snoop Dogg on the same stage. That's going to be us and Snoop Dogg. That's going to be killer.
Oh, that is awesome.
Sturgis at Buffalo Chip. It's the band Buckcherry plays there every year. It's a really cool thing. They're awesome there, but at Buffalo Chip, what they normally do, it's only two bands for each night has two bands.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a drawn out long festival day thing where everybody's in the heat and stuff like that. It's just everybody comes, watches the two bands at night, and that's kind of where they go. And we played last year. It was us and Drowning Pool played before us, and that was awesome. They're the great friends of ours too. But there was, I think they set a record that night. It was something crazy, like 17,000 people or something like that at Sturgis just for that. So this year is probably going to be even crazier because it's Snoop Dogg, So it should be really cool. But I mean, a lot of cool shows. We got the Tesla shows coming up, and they're different areas, kind of spread out. Mm-hmm. Just a lot of great stuff. I mean, just thanks to everybody that got the album, and you can still get it. I think you can still get it on vinyl. That's
Nice.
it right there.
Right. Badass album cover. I love that album cover. Want to get that shirt?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't even have a shirt. I think you can only get them from the website.
Oh, really?
We don't sell it. Yeah, we don't sell it at the live shows. There's different designs that we have at the live shows, but I think
I see.
particular album and the hoodie is only available on the website.
Oh, okay.
So I still got to get on that too.
Yeah.
But just thank you to everybody that's, I know there's a lot of competition out there for shows and stuff like that. So we just appreciate every single person that comes to the shows, and looking forward to Albuquerque and look forward to new music coming up.
All right.
Again too. So.
All right. Well, once again, everybody, Francis Ruiz, drummer of Buckcherry. Again, they'll be here in Albuquerque on the 15th. Right on, brother, man. Good to see you. Looking good. Can't wait to see you on the 15th.
All right. Enjoy your Memorial weekend.
Thank you. You do the same.
All right.